Well, another week, another project. This week I want to finish these rear radius rods. I got all the brackets made. It's just a matter of getting everything lined up and getting them tack welded. And probably if you've been following along, you've seen the last video. I got it held up there, bungee cords and clamps and everything else where I want it. I got the pinion angle set. The only problem I got right now is the rear end is cocked about 3/8 of an inch. So I got to loosen up the bolts for the leaf spring, and I put a ratchet strap here, and I need to get this side of the rear end has to come forward about 3/8 of an inch. So let me get the bolts loose, and we'll see how it goes. All right, I got both sides evened up, squared. I still got my 2 degrees up on the pinion. I'm gonna go get the welder over here, and we'll go ahead and tack the back mount on first. I gotta hold it in my hand to get it straight this way, so eye it up straight, get that tacked, and then I'll work on the front one. Now, what I want to do here on the front one, right now, the mounting plate is flat up against parallel with the frame, but the angle of the radius rod comes out a little bit. So what I want to do is put a shim back here behind the mount to cock the mount so that it's parallel with the radius rod. Then I'm going to go ahead and tack it in. Well, I got it tacked. Everything's looked good, straight. I'll show you here what you see what I mean. I shimmed this side back a little bit to angle it so that it's straight with the radius rods. You can see it from back here. Our axle dimension's good. I still got that 2 degrees up. Now I'm gonna go ahead and let me move everything over there to the other side, and we'll see if we can get it set up. Well, the other side went a little easier. They always say the second time is easy. After I figured out what I had to do to get this side lined up, I'll take a walk over here. I'll show you. You can see there, we're good. And I did the same thing. I angled the mounting bracket to match the angle of the radius rods, and I matched the angle on the one back here to match, so everything's in line, straight. My dimension's still good, squared up with the frame. Still got 2 degrees on the pinion. I guess the next thing I'm going to do is let me get my angle grinder, and I'm going to cut this piece back off that was holding the pinion down. I'm curious to see if it's going to, well, I got to tighten the leaf spring first. I'll tighten the leaf spring, and then we'll cut that bracket out and see if make sure the pinion didn't move. But even if it did move, 1 or 2 degrees, I got that much adjustment easy in the radius rods to tilt it back where I need it. So I know I'm going to be close. Hoping it don't move. And then I'll get the straps off where I was pulling it and twisting it to get it lined up. Let me tighten up the spring, we'll cut off the bracket, and then see what we got. Well, I got it all back together. Got the straps off. I got the leaf spring tightened down. Everything's done in the back. We did pick up 1 degree though. I had 2 degrees up, and when I took the straps and everything off, tightened up the leaf spring, it went back to 3 degrees up. But that's okay. I think I got plenty of room. You can see here on the adjustment. So once I take it all back apart and get everything welded, when we go to final assembly, well, I'll see what it is before we do the final assembly, and maybe just go in 2 turns on the top, which will tilt it back down if I need it. As soon as I get the front ones done, which I'm going to start working on now, the 4-bar I'm going to run in the front, but I got to make the mounts for the frame here. Well, first thing this morning, I'm going to start on these front radius rods. Got one little issue already. When I bought the front axle, the Model A front axle used, it came with this bar you see right here, the radius rod, and it came with this mount, which was mounted like this up underneath the frame, which I'm not going to use this old mount. I mean, I don't know how good you can see that, but you can see the welds on it. Plus, I need it longer, so it wouldn't work either way. But I got those mounts, the rods, and the front axle. And the problem I got now is a Model A frame, or whatever they used this axle on before, that must have been a lot narrower than what I made my frame. So these ears right here, where the rods mount to, have a bend in them. Well, they're bent underneath too far in for a narrower frame. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get my torch and I'm gonna try to heat this up just a little bit, not even red, but just warm it up a little. And this rod that I got on there now is the old rod that came with the front axle, which this is a solid bar. This one here is my new one. So what I'm gonna do, like I said, is I'll warm it up a little bit, and I wanna bend it so that this heim joint stays flush with the outside. And then I'll check the top one. If I have to, we'll heat it up a little bit, bend it to get them both flush. And then once I get them flush, I can go ahead and start measuring for the mount on the frame. Well, you can see now I got it back together. If I show it to you from this angle here, you can see what I was talking about. The plate will be flush underneath right here, and it's got a good angle to it. The only problem I got now is you can see here that the top rod is longer than the bottom rod because I got the axle tilted back. If you look over there on my angle finder, I got a 6-degree tilted back, the front axle for the kingpins, and tilting it back causes the top one to be longer than the bottom. So I wanted to make the bracket the same as we did back here on the back one. And the back one from the bottom of the frame down to the bolt is 5 3/4 inches. So that's where I got this block of wood right now. I'm from the bottom here to the center, I'm 5 3/4 inches. So what I think to do to make it look straight, I'm gonna go ahead and take the thing apart and see if I can cut a 1/2 inch off of here, and I'll cut a 1/2 inch off of that end and shorten the top rod by 1 inch, which will move this back 1 inch. I'll be in line with this one, and then the bracket will be straight. Well, as you can see here, we got it. I ended up cutting 1/4 of an inch off of each end on the top bar, and I had plenty of threads, so I didn't have to rethread it with only 1/4 of an inch off each end. So you can see now, kind of with the square here, the bolts will be level. So the next thing to do is I'm gonna go cut out the plates for the mounts, for the front mounts. Well, I got these laid out here. Let's see if we can hold this a little steadier than I did the last one. Well, you can see here I finished grinding them. Come out pretty good. It was straight enough. I just cleaned up the edges a little bit. I laid out the holes. The next thing we're gonna do is take them over here to the drill press and open these holes up to 5/8. Well, I got the front mount made. You can see there. So it's kind of going to match the opposite of the back, right? Next thing I need to do before we go ahead and tack this on is make sure that the front axle is squared up with the frame, like we did when I put the back on. I'm still at 6 degrees on my angle for the kingpins. So that's good, but what I'm gonna do now is get a tape measure and measure from here back, and also measure from here to the rear axle to make sure they're parallel with each other. So I might have to loosen up the bolts for the leaf spring if it's out. I haven't checked it yet, but if it's out, you know, quite a bit, I'll loosen up the leaf springs. I might have to get the ratchet straps, either pull it forward or backwards, but once I get the axle squared up with the frame and the rear end, we can go ahead and tack the bracket and then. Well, I finally got it all squared up. I ended up putting a strap over here on the other side to pull it back a little bit, but right now it's squared up with the frame, it's square with the rear axle, from rim to rim is the same. Everything's looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and tack this bracket that I made in right now, and then hopefully I'll have enough time today to get started on the other side. Well, that's it for this side. You can see here I got it tacked on. It come out pretty good. The next thing we're going to do is I'll remeasure everything real quick, make sure nothing moved before I get the other side ready. Also, I got to cut the top bar 1/2 inch off the top bar to match this side to get for the other side. I got the 2 bars up here on the table. I hadn't put them together yet. I still got to put the clevis ends on. So let me get to work on that, and we'll recheck all the dimensions, and we'll get started on the other side. Well, it got late last night, and I didn't get a chance to finish. But before I left last night, I did get a chance to heat these brackets up right here and bend them out. I used the old rod that I had here, like I did it earlier in the video on the other side. So they're bent, and I did get the top rod shortened, you can see right here, and put together. So all I got to do now is bolt these rods on, bolt it to the mounting plate, shim it up, and then we'll have to recheck the alignment because I had to take the strap off, make sure everything's square with the front axle, and tack the mount, and we should be done. Okay, well now I got it all set back up again. As you can see here, I did have to put the strap back on it. It was out by about a 1/16 of an inch. Not much, but I got the chance now to do it right and get everything perfect. So I put the strap back on. I also had to adjust the rods here to get this mounting plate flush because this is on a 2-degree angle, the frame. So I had to adjust the rods so that it sit. I don't know if you can see on this side, but if you look up underneath there, let's see if you can see under here, but where it sits flush with the frame. So I adjusted that. Like I said, we're squared up again. Everything's good. I'm going to get the welder fired up, and we'll put a couple tack welds on it. Well, it took a few weeks, but we finally got it done. I got all the suspension now is done. It's actually a roller. You can see here, we can move it. So that helps a lot too, because I always get stuff in here. I need space in my shop, and I can't, I hadn't been able to move it. So everything came out pretty good. I was happy with it so far. Well, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to get that engine off the stand, and we're going to bolt up this power glide to it. And I bought that adapter kit. I showed it in one of my other earlier videos where I can bolt that 235 up to a power glide. We're going to stick it in here, and I need to make the motor mounts and the transmission mounts. We'll hang it in there and get all that made. Once I get that in there, I'll take the motor back out. I'm going to send it to have it get rebuilt. So, and once I put the motor mounts and the trans mounts in and mark where the transmission is on the frame, we can probably start on the body. So hopefully things will pick up a little bit. Well, hope you enjoyed the videos. Don't forget, give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you in the next episode when we start putting the motor in.